You can support this podcast and get shows early and ad-free, as well as bonus episodes over at patreon.com/flashback64. Welcome to another episode of Flashback 64, the chronological Nintendo 64 podcast. I am Gooey, joined as always by McKenna.
Hello.
And we are, you know what, I was just thinking, this is only our second time, I think, on the N64 library talking about a puzzle game. You're stunned, I can tell.
Yeah.
The Tetrasphere was the only other game I could think of. So that I don't know. Maybe we can compare and contrast a bit, because we tend to do that with all our other genres or if sports games or whatever we're doing. So yeah, I don't know. I thought that was interesting. I guess we'll get into it, but maybe that speaks to what the N64 library may lack from time to time. But we've got a great guest for us today to talk about, I didn't even say the game, did I? Bust-a-Move 2 Arcade Edition. Joining us today, returning to the show, is Mr. Goodnews. Welcome back to the show.
Hello. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me again.
Yes, excited to have you back on to talk about N64 game proper. I mean, the other episodes count, but this is like, this is like the real deal. So
this is the actual, it was on a cartridge. Yeah.
This is the big time. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess, I don't know. I don't remember if we asked you, because we talked about last time you were on, we were talking about the NES games. We were talking about the whole RC Pro-Am series. So I don't know, did we talk about your history with the Nintendo 64 at all?
I think last time I told my getting the wrong tooth pulled story, because that's how I ended up with a large N64 library. But yeah.
Okay, that's actually one of my favorite stories of like how someone obtained theirs. We've had yours, and then our friend Quaid got one after their house burnt down.
Oh my god!
And they lost all their stuff. So these are some serious trials and tribulations.
Yeah, some real trauma there for sure.
So I'm putting yours second to that one. No offense.
Oh, no, I get it. Yeah, that's a rough situation.
Okay, cool. Well, then I'm glad we've got that logged in your. It's like your medical history or something, your gaming history on the show.
Yeah,
so
it's somewhere in there in my medical history where it says got an N64, wrong tooth pulled, all of that.
Okay, well, cool. I guess that means we can just get like right into the episode. Sort of. We're gonna go and do a little bit right now. We're gonna hit our flashback segment. This is your first time experiencing that, so here we go. It's actually not that exciting. I'm sorry, because we've been stuck in like the same week or so, because 1998 games actually kind of start coming out for the N64 on a more regular basis. So that we're not like traveling. Sometimes we would go months ahead in time, and here we're just hanging out on April 30th, 1998, which is supposedly the same day as our last game, which was Arrow Gauge. And it's actually the same day as the next game we're going to be covering, which is Forsaken 64. So just a fun, interesting time for games. But and we've been stuck in this time period for a long time where the number one song on the charts is "Too Close" by Next, which we've talked about. Famous song about getting a boner. Everyone loves it. But I've been saying, since we're stuck in time, I was gonna maybe dig deeper and talk about some other hits that maybe didn't get highlighted because either Candle in the Wind or My Heart Will Go On or something was like hogging the top of the charts. So I found that the track No 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 by Destiny's Child currently sat at number 15 and had been on the charts for 23 weeks. Actually debuted at 64 in November of 1997 and peaked at number 3 in March from their self-titled album, which peaked at 67 in March. And I think that's pretty fun because I feel like Destiny's Child, obviously like a legendary group from this time, but this is like their earliest stuff, not as the stuff that's not as remembered. I mean, people know these tracks, but were you a Destiny's Child fan? Good News back in the day, or now, you know?
Was I guess so. My cousin, more than anything, I think like I would go visit my grandmother and my cousin would probably be playing a lot of Destiny's Child, a lot of TLC. More in his realm.
I've been listening to some TLC as well lately. Yeah. Good stuff, yeah. Mm-hmm. But how about you, McKenna? I don't think you would know. You probably don't know this track, but I feel like Destiny's Child and Beyonce are, unavoidable.
I'm not sure what this track is. Maybe I would know it if I heard it, but
okay, we're recording this before our winter break, coming out after, but maybe on our road trip we'll listen to some early Destiny's Child. This is when there was 4 members, because I think after this album they had 3. They cut. I don't know the lore exactly, but someone's gone. Okay, and again, number 1 album just forever has been the Titanic soundtrack. So we don't have to dwell on that as much. People are over it, hearing about it. So I pulled the Backstreet Boys self-titled at number 5, and it's been on the charts for 36 weeks. Debuted at 29 in August of 1997, peaked at number 4 in January, and it remains on the chart until March 2000. So I don't know this. I would have to look more into the circumstances here, but this album had like long legs. I mean, it's the top 200.
Was this like because of was this the thing where they like debuted internationally first?
I think that's the album I know had like a second life, basically. So that they got to like re-release it basically, but because of what I think it was was it in the UK they had a bigger
I think so. I remember they have they go Backstreet's back, and people in the US are like, what do you mean, you just started here? But they actually had been already performing.
Okay, yeah, we'll do, obviously, I mean, boy bands and stuff like that I'd love to do a deeper dive on and discuss, and maybe we can do more than half remember the story, but it's something like that. It's
one of the first bands I remember listening to.
Yeah, I was more in sync at the time.
I think I heard both of them, but
that's just where I stood.
Listening to music.
Good News, where do you stand in the boy band war of the 90s?
I don't know if I have a horse in that race, if I'm going to be honest. Maybe more on the NSYNC side. I think that all of that kind of missed me, I think.
Yeah.
But I did. I mean, I listened to a lot of R&B as a kid for sure, but not so much the boy band side of things.
I did just for that brief time, like as soon as like I really got into like hard rock and new metal in particular, it was like you just could not. It was like Sega, Nintendo like type. I don't fuck with this.
I grew up on hip hop mostly, so I grew up listening to like Tribe and De La Soul, and like once
so I started much cooler than
once I started to get into those groups, I was like, I don't really need to listen to anything else. On the other end of the spectrum, we also had, when I grew up in Seattle, we had 107.7 The End, which was the big alternative rock radio station there. And that was like the other end of the spectrum was I'm listening to a lot of that sort of new metal stuff as well. So I'm sort of in the same camp. I just grew up in two different realms. And then in between was the one that I missed, which was NSYNC and boy bands and everything else in there. No, pop music in general.
That's totally fair. I grew up in the middle of just nowhere. And so like it took me years to like figure out about, I mean, I love A Tribe Called Quest and all that, but like, yeah, it took me much later to actually like figure out what that was. And to like more interesting music. No offense to the new metal or the boy band, or, you know, they can take it. They can take it. Tell me why. This one weekend that we passed by, it was just one weekend, but it's come up on every show. The movie The Big Hit. It's number 1 at the box office. The Mark Wahlberg movie. It's not that popular. Did fine. So I was pulling like what were like bombs or things further down the chart. And so one I pulled that was fun was the movie Species 2. Was at 11, and it's the third week it's been out. It debuted at number 4. It's the sequel to the movie Species, which I vaguely remember I haven't seen, and I thought it would be really funny if McKenna and I watched both the Species movies, because I think we would have a good time watching them. But as we talked about before we recorded, we've been really busy getting ready for the holidays, and so we didn't watch Species or Species 2, but I thought someone might appreciate having that referenced. Have you seen either of these movies?
I completely forgot about them until I just searched them right now, and then they like hit me, a flashback, you would say, of these movie covers that I just completely forgot about.
Okay, well, so if anything, this is the segment we go, hey, remember Species? There you go. That's your hit of nostalgia for the moment.
Houston, we have touchdown. Final sample loaded.
The deadliest species is back with one goal.
They could the human race into extinction.
Whatever species destroyed Mars, those poor astronauts brought down to Earth.
And again, since we're stuck in this time, I went and I pulled like stuff from, I think I found a bunch of gaming stuff from April 30th, 1998, in the New York Times, but I pulled from like my local library's like database, got like the subscription to go online. And so I've got a fun sort of review thing in there that I wanted to pull out. And it's an article called Game Theory in the Mainstream, Dead Deer, Not Demons. And I didn't pull the full thing, but I have some parts that were fun from it. The best-selling computer game in America has nothing to do with blasting demons to smithereens. It's not the sequel to Myst. It does not feature the pneumatic Lara Croft gunslinging her way from tomb to tomb. It contains no earth-shattering graphics. It will not send you pulse racing. In fact, your pulse racing. In fact, it is a game where almost nothing happens. It's called Deer Hunter. And it's as close to a genuine out in the woods kill Bambi expedition as you are likely going to get on a computer. Wondering what people are running on all those $1,000 PCs? This is it. They're running Deer Hunter. Good news, do you remember Deer Hunter?
Don't have a recollection of it at all. Nope.
But all those people were running it on those $1,000 PCs.
Amazing.
McKenna, do you know this game?
I know there are a lot of Deer Hunter games in existence. I don't know if
they actually released a handful of these, and my dad actually, who does some hunting. I wouldn't say he's like a big hunting guy, but he does go hunting. He had one of these games, and I definitely remember trying to play it once on our computer, which was not $1,000 PC. And it sucked. It's like, and you can look up footage of this. And you're just like, it's like a sim. You're walking around, waiting for something to happen. You can pull out the antlers and click them together and, try to get a deer to come by. This one specifically, they had like a special deal, where it was being distributed at Walmart, which that's probably where my dad got it. And, the second half of I pulled a little of commentary on this that I think will kind of describe why it's perfect for there. This is what happens when digital media are no longer dominated by a latte sipping elite. This is what happens when the products of Silicon Valley make their way to mainstream. This is what happens when the technology hits mass markets. Are the hardware fetishists Ready for a world where microprocessors are a mass phenomenon, where palm-sized computers with wireless internet capability are no longer status symbols? Are online media mavens ready to be a trivial segment of the market for interactive entertainment? Is the technological vanguard ready for a digital mediascape dominated by Deer Hunter? What do you think, Goodnews? Were we ready?
I'm still not ready, if I'm going to be honest. Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of review.
It was marketed to like my people. It was like, this isn't for these latte sipping coastal elites. This is for real America, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, going out there and finding what I'm sure look like the most realistic deer and gunning it down.
This one at least is like trying to like recreate the experience, which, you know, isn't something I am interested at all. But I don't know, like, I feel like you might kind of appreciate it, McKenna. Not that you like want to hunt deer,
just like walking around in the woods.
Yeah.
Now that's a nice shot.
Hello, we are Kirby Conversations, a podcast on Kirby, along with other adjacent subjects like Smash Brothers, HAL Laboratory, and other related Nintendo games.
In each episode, we take an in-depth, well-researched look at a Kirby topic, drawing on our decades of experience playing Kirby games, creating Kirby-related content, and working in and around the video game industry. I'm Sean Douglas. I'm a theater and video game journalist.
And my name's Bridget. I'm an online Kirby commentator and collector.
Our team also includes photographer and Nintendo ambassador Kai Captain Dangerous Parker and Gigi, the editor-in-chief of Wick Kirby. Join us for deep dives into Kirby's history, interviews with industry professionals, and even inside looks at Nintendo, as together we explore all things Kirby and HAL Laboratory. You can find Kirby Conversations on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Bust-A-Move 2 Arcade Edition is a tile-matching puzzle game in which you must burst bubbles by shooting them at matching colors, aligning them in groups of 3 or more. You'll aim from the bottom of the screen, working to eliminate the bubbles at the top before they pile up and reach the bottom. Play solo and puzzle mode, where you'll advance through a series of branching puzzle courses that get increasingly more difficult. Play against a computer or a second player in the 2 versus modes, in which bubbles that fall off the screen will land on your opponent's side. In time attack mode, you can play with 1 or 2 players in an attempt to clear the screen the fastest. There are a few special bubbles like the star bubble, which pops all bubbles the same color as the first one it touches. Different special bubbles will appear in different modes. Match the colors and burst a bubble in Bust-A-Move 2.
All right, so Bust-A-Move 2 Arcade Edition.
Yes.
It's okay. So it's this. A lot of people know this, but I'm sure some people will appreciate the kind of ridiculous naming convention of the series. So this is from the Bust-A-Move series, really known as the Puzzle Bobble series, which is based on the Bubble Bobble series. This game was originally released as Puzzle Bobble 2 in arcades in 1995, but then it comes to us all the way on N64 in 1998. It was developed and published by Taito, and it was released as Bust-A-Move again in the US as arcades, but then it was ported to all the various consoles as Bust-A-Move 2 Arcade Edition. But that's not the arcade edition. We got a little hung up on that when we were. N64 version was ported by Probe, and they also did the Game Boy release, and it was published by Acclaim. So yeah, that's all that. There's a lot of different names and release dates and years and all that stuff. Goodnews. When I asked you about coming on, you seem pretty excited to talk about this game. What's like your history with like this game or like the series in general, or where did it begin?
I have a long history with Bust-A-Move. I think the biggest thing for me is that Bust-A-Move as a series is my comfort game. If I'm going to sit down and play something and just zone out and like I just want to relax, Bust-A-Move is probably the game that I'm going to pull up. But the sort of the genesis of that was that I this was the first ROM that I ever downloaded. Was Bust a Move. I was at my dad's, and he had his old Dell something, and I as a kid, like I was just allowed to run around the internet as much as I wanted, and somehow I just ended up getting onto a website where there was just tons and tons of downloads for ROMs, whatever you wanted to grab, and I was like, oh my god, I just opened up a whole new world of games. Like, I don't have to be bored ever again. I can just download something and emulate it. And I remember playing it on one of those like very early versions of ZSNES, where it's got the snow shader in the background.
Cool.
And yeah, after that, it was like, okay, this is my game. I've always really loved puzzle games, but this one in particular really struck me as just being able to just kind of get lost in it. And so I played that one, and then basically each release that came out after that, like I got the PS1 version of this game originally. And yeah, I've just always had some version of it to play, like ready to go at any time. I have Bust a Move.
I mean, the game, it can be hypnotic, I'll say, or as some of the advertisements said, like so addictive you'll die or something. I don't remember what it was, but it's something ridiculous.
The manual is like, make sure you have all your chores done, because they won't get done after you start playing this.
Yeah, the PS1 cover of this says, so addictive it should be illegal, right on the cover.
We should probably just mention those covers really quick. I think it was the PlayStation and Saturn covers, and I had read that those weren't supposed to be the covers. Did you saw those, right, McKenna?
Yeah.
There's like these faces that like look like they're being Clockwork Orange. Yeah, like they're being held. Their eyes are being held open, and they're like screaming in pain. They're in a bubble, like screaming in pain or something. And what I had read was like those were like it was used in that advertisement, but they weren't in the advertisement. They show like the PAL cover or whatever, but then the actual, I wonder what happened there, if that's actually true, or if like maybe at the time they didn't know what the cover was going to be, or maybe that like by the time it came out, they're like, we do need like an edgy cover. I don't know what the story is there.
I'd be curious to find out for sure. I think definitely a lot of it is like very 90s marketing fuel. It's just, let's just make it as in your face as possible and the most eye-catching thing we can. But yeah, I want to learn more about that cover.
There probably also is like because there is definitely evidence in various releases. I guess really just that the original US arcade release. Like I feel like there is that like, you know, that thing of like, how do we need to take these cute characters and like kind of minimize that and make it more like edgy, so that original Bust a Move Again release that you've got playing behind you, like you mentioned, it's got, instead of Bub and Bob, it's got the hands, and
which is a crime.
I know they're I mean, I think they're the highlight of these games, is like all, not just them, but all the cute little characters.
Yeah,
I think taking them out is a mistake. And then I kind of like that instead of the bubbles popping, they like explode, and there's that loud explosion noise. That is kind of hilarious. I wish you could just pick that and have that. It's so ridiculous. But yeah, so I think maybe it was like, it could have been more intentional. Like we don't want people to think there's cute, cuddly creatures in these games. No.
Well, that checks out for like a lot of US releases for, you know, like Kirby. Right, is always, they give him a mean face. Yes, yeah, but he's always smiling in Japan. So I guess that makes sense. Always trying to give something an edge in the US for some reason.
Make it edgy, yeah. This game will make you barf.
Right.
So you picked up the PlayStation version. Had you played the N64 version before this episode, or I mean, they're all kind of very similar.
I believe I have played every version, but the time at which I played them varies. So the N64 one, I had only played on the Mister, but I played that quite a bit. I go back to the PS1 version, and then 3 and 4 as well. I like the characters from 3 and 4. So yeah, there's a lot to go through, surprisingly, in the Bust a Move world.
Yeah, I mean, even looking at like the older console ports, and we popped into we did a stream actually where we didn't play all the games, but just the ones like that I had available via emulation, or like ones that were available to purchase. And we were talking before we recorded, like we were playing some of the like the Game Boy one that has this like Buck Wild story mode. So yeah, there's a lot going on with all these games. You, McKenna, I don't think you were familiar at all with Bust a Move or Puzzle Bobble or anything. So what did you think?
Yeah, I wasn't familiar with this specific series, but I've played games with the bubble, match 3 color kind of stuff before. That's a very common thing now.
Yeah, I feel like actually that's something worth mentioning, is like this is like this type of game. It's been like proliferate, like almost in the exact similar formula, like completely ripping it off in like a million games. I feel it's one of those things like Breakout, where it's just like we can just copy this, throw it. Like I probably played a bunch of like kids games like based on stuff on like PC games where they just like threw in a mode where you play basically Puzzle Bobble but in a different form.
Yeah, Puyo Puyo is very similar too. Like lots of clones of Puyo Puyo, like Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Right.
There's one sort of like reverse Bust a Move, the Japanese game that came out in arcades called, I hope I'm saying it right, Puzzle Upoko. That one is very cat themed, but it goes top down instead. So you're trying to knock him out from just like shooting him down. And it also has a really fun thing where they had cat paw ball tops in arcades. So they had these little molded plastic cat paws on top of the ball tops. I have some repros of those, but I don't keep them on my arcade cabinet all the time.
Oh, that's adorable. I feel like Snood, that was one that was like kind of popular. Like I've heard people bring that up as like their conception of what this style of game is, and I'm pretty sure Puzzle Bobble is like the OG of like this specific brand. As far as I could tell, I couldn't find earlier examples. I actually this was not a game that I had as a kid, but one of my friends who lived like on the same block as me in the town I grew up in, I remember them playing this. I'm going to assume it was the PlayStation version. I can't quite remember because I only saw it a couple times and played it a little bit. And it did always like, I don't know, it was really just the graphics, the way the balls, the bubbles, I mean, looked like it definitely, like there was something enchanting about it, and it kind of stuck with me. And then it was like a few years later when I was like closer, like my young adult years, where like I figured it out, and I figured out like what Bubble Bobble was, and what started going to some arcades that would have it and stuff. And so it's become like a favorite of mine because I had that like memory kind of implanted, and like there was a few year period where I was like, what was that game? Because again, I had played, like you said, McKenna, like I'd played a ton of games like it, but yeah, it never recaptured that same vibe. What did you think, McKenna, about like the actual game itself?
I think there's something about just having a little guy who's there actually controlling where you're aiming, that makes it more engaging than just any of these other ones I've played. I'd play them and be like, okay, I did that, I don't need to keep doing that. But here, I see him start crying if I fail a level, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so sorry, I'll do better next time.
You like get closer to it, and he looks a little like stressed and kind of like, come on, shoot it. And like when the timer starts going down,
like, hurry up.
Like, I'm trying, man.
It's like you just got like a little buddy along with you, and you've got kind of a story going on in this one, or in puzzle mode, where you're fighting against other little characters.
Mm-hmm. Or no, the puzzle mode's the branching paths.
Yeah.
What's the
the versus computer mode,
the computer, yeah, where you're playing
like arcade mode, basically.
Yeah. And then just like, we gotta beat the other guy, or like, oh, this guy's killing me.
Yeah, some of them were like, I don't know if this is true, but some of the characters felt absurdly hard. I don't know if there was like real. I don't know if you have Good News, any insight on this, but some of the characters felt like the difficulty curve felt insane. Am I imagining this?
I mean, maybe because it's the arcade edition, but I think it has that arcade sort of arcade operator thing built in, where it's like, okay, you got through the first 2 rounds, but now we're really going to ramp it up because you got to put quarters into this thing. So it kind of does that. Yeah. It starts you off slow, and then it's like just ramps it way up into difficulty. I was playing. I've played for the past couple of days. I played again last night, and I think I got to I think it was like maybe the 8th character. And by that point, it's like I can't make all of the crazy combos and stuff that this thing is making. Like I can't compete against this guy unless I dump more quarters into it, which you can't do in this mode. You just get your 5 credits and then that's it.
There's a couple of things that can mitigate it. I guess in the options, you can go up to 9 credits.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So it helped. But no, when I tried it on N64, I could never get through it like on all those credits either, even on the easiest mode. But on I think it's the Arcade Archives release, or is that, I don't know if it's Arcade Archives, but the current release that you can get on all the modern consoles, they have a mode where you can do unlimited credits, which makes it fun because it's still hard, you still have to do it. But you might have to do it a million times like I did. And then I also, on N64, I could go ahead and Game Shark unlimited credits into it. So
yeah,
that made it
missed the Game Shark days.
Increase the value for me a little bit, because I don't mind the failing, but and it's also kind of fun because even if you don't make it all the way, it's not so bad because you get your score and you get to enter your name and everything. So there's still like a, it's not for nothing or anything. It's not like, oh, game over, you failed, you suck. And in fact, if you do make it to the end and win, you get the same game over screen regardless, like with the sad face. I'm like, wait, I beat. Yeah, like, we're not making another game over screen because not many people are going to see this. So
right.
Yeah, the versus computer mode, like it's a little less fun for me, like for just in the long run, just because I don't get as much satisfaction out of, like, you can't really plan your moves ahead. Like you really just have to like go as fast as you can. And my brain, like, I can sort of do that with like Tetris. Like it can, even when it starts going fast to a degree, I can sort of plan what I'm gonna do. But yeah, in this, like, kind of some would start and you'd like we just have junk thrown at us like right away and be like, oh crap.
Yeah, I have like instances where stuff would come down, and so I couldn't match up any colors, and so I'd just shoot it off somewhere, and I'd have something that would match, but more stuff would come down, and then I'd just be back in that same situation again. I'd be like, this guy is just killing me. I can't send him back fast enough.
Yeah, you have to. What was it? The manual just said, like, was it the manual or
it was the Nintendo Power I was looking at? That was like, yeah, don't use any like clever strategies in this mode. Just go.
Yeah, you have to just like clear your mind and like shoot it where you think it'll work out.
Yeah, I was saying like, oh, you got to get in like Jedi mode, like instinct.
Yeah, there's been like it's come up a couple times on the show of like the idea of like puzzle games and fighting games. They're actually not so different, and like in that mode I specifically felt that way, where I was like I think to like really be good at this, I have to play this on another level that it felt like when I play a fighting game and I'm like, I don't know if I can like actually reach this,
I mean, that's how we got Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo. They're not too far off. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting because I feel like with this game, it's way harder to dig yourself out of a hole than in any other puzzle game. Like with Tetris, you can figure out kind of a strategy like, I stacked this piece wrong and I can figure out how to clear those lines. But with this one, it's like once it starts, all the trash gets thrown at you, it kind of deletes your whole strategy. And yeah, you're just firing into the void and hoping that something lands somewhere and you don't end up at the bottom.
Yeah, the margin for error does feel like it's got to be much smaller. So, like the times not every time actually, but like the times I would beat one of the really hard computer players, it felt like more that I survived like the stage, and like I never got mine pretty low and like felt like I hit them with a ton of junk. I felt like often like they would throw some junk on me and then I would get lucky with a bubble that like cleared a bunch that made like a combo that I didn't even really set up, and then they would get hit with it and it would and they would die. I'm like, it felt like, whew, made it, which was, it was still like a good feeling, but it wasn't the mode. Puzzle mode is really, I feel like the mode I play to like feel like that good, like brain feeling where it's like, I'm clearing things and doing good. Puzzle mode for me is where it's at.
Yeah. I feel like it also kind of depends on, how the bubbles are laid out when you first get to the stage. So it could end up, oh, well, there's all red at the top of the stage, and now it's just a race between me and the computer to see who can hit that red first and drop all of them onto the other player. That can be unfortunate when it definitely does not work out in your favor.
Yeah, I always wondered how that, because I feel like I understand, at least like with later version, eventually in like Tetris, they settled on like how you get like the same set in random orders. But in this, I never understood, like, in that mode, like, how the stage was laid out and how, like, what I was being delivered. I feel like that's the next level, like, fighting game stuff that I feel like if you can understand that, I'm only assuming, like, I don't know if it's completely random or what it is. I mean, definitely, it seems like, once you clear out one of the colors, it doesn't come up. I understood that, but there's certain like high level strategies that I don't think I understand yet. But.
Yeah, I would be curious. I'm gonna have to go back now and see what, if it exists, what high level bust a move play looks like. If there's people actually competing in this game, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, let's dig into the code, see what's going on there. How about the puzzle mode? I think is really, that's where I could get lost and out for hours. And what did you think of the puzzles? I guess.
Yeah, I like the puzzles a lot more than the verses, or at least the versus computer. It was just fun to look at what is on the screen, see what you have, see what's next, and just kind of think, okay, I can shoot this here and clear out like a whole bunch of stuff, because if I clear out this line, all the stuff below it'll drop. Or use a special bubble to clear out all of one color. Think like, okay, which color will clear out the most?
That'd be satisfying if you see like the one color, because like the way it works is like if you delete one that's like attached to the top wall and like there's nothing holding the bubbles that are like beneath it, they're all fall. Right. So like sometimes if you see that one that's like clinging to the top and you've got that like special one, you're like, oh, if I hit that color, like everything will fall off, and it feels so good.
Yeah, there were some that I cleared the screen in like 5 seconds. That was super satisfying. But it's also fun when it's taking a long time, and it's like, all right, it's kind of a race against the screen, but it doesn't feel, it feels like a better race than the opponent is just sending trash at me that I can't control.
Yeah. Especially once you realize that like like there is like a timer, like you have to, there's sort of like a shot clock for shooting the bubbles, but it's quite generous. And like there's times where it's like indicating that the ceiling is going to come down a little bit more. And at first like that like would make me panic, but then I realize it doesn't happen until you fire the bubble that you currently have or whatever. So it's like got a time to it, but it's like you can kind of go at your own pace. And it's got like that cool, like the branching path, so you can kind of have like play it again and go different ways and get different puzzles. Good News, I take it, is like, does that mode speak to you more as well?
Yeah, the first mode that I ended up playing, and I think what I, always go to first. I have played on my arcade cabinet behind me. I'll typically play the versus modes on that one. But if I'm just sitting by myself hanging out, then I'm going to be playing the puzzles. I have tried to play the competitive modes against my wife, who is an absolute beast at puzzle games. So I have not been able to beat her at Bust a Move or Puyo Puyo. So I've kind of just given up there, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to stick to the puzzle mode. This one I can beat in.
Yeah, it's more my speed. I think we played a little bit, but we didn't even really do competitive. We're not competitive with each other, really. Except in like, I feel like bad fighting games is like the most level playing field for us, because it's neither of our genres, and so neither of us know what we're doing, and so it's like fun because it's like anything could happen. But like other games where it's like legit competitive, it's like it doesn't feel good to like compete with you.
Like sports games, we're always playing co-op.
Yeah. If we could play co-op Bust a Move, that would be sick.
I want to say there is one. Yeah.
That would be
I
amazing.
Remember which one it is. Maybe it's Bust a Move 4. There is one where you can play together, and it's a larger play field. I could be wrong. Someone will correct me. But yeah, I know there is one like that for sure.
I know we have one more on the N64 library that I'm excited to get to someday after this one, because I think we did sample it a little bit too, but don't want to give that away yet. You gotta wait. But we did actually, speaking, this is kind of sort of, it's adjacent, but we did play, co-op Bubble Bobble, and that was, we had quite a lot of fun playing that. And like, obviously that's sort of the origin of the whole series here. Good News was that, have you gone back and, are you a Bubble Bobble liker?
I'm not. That's the funny thing, is I do not like Bubble Bobble at all.
No,
it just didn't do anything for me. But yeah, Bust a Move is the game that got me. But something about Bubble Bobble that just didn't interest me.
I think I've known about it basically since I found out what Bust a Move actually is. I think I quickly found out what Bubble Bobble was and tried it out and played it for a little bit, and it was like, whatever. But I think the most fun I've had playing it was just with you. I feel like it is like a fun. It like fits our vibe, I think, perfectly for co-op. We're just kind of bopping around, popping bubbles.
Yeah.
It's got charming music, and there's a lot of like weird, like kind of lore and stuff to the whole. Are you into the lore at all? Good News with the Bubble Bobble Puzzle Bobble. Okay.
Only a little bit. There was one interesting thing, and maybe we'll get into this more later, maybe. But there's a lot of very interesting stage art in Bust a Move. And there was one in particular that stood out to me, where there's two coffins on the left and right side, and they say Drajo and Drabo and 1999 on them. And then there's also the male and female symbols on them. And I was like, I gotta know what that is. And it turns out that there is a male character named Drabo, who is a young Dracula.
Kid Dracula.
Yeah.
Not the
and
kid
then
Dracula.
The other coffin is just hinting that he has a female counterpart, but you never get to see the female counterpart, because you run into the Dracula character when you're playing the versus computer mode.
Mm-hmm. So it's like a tease, maybe that's coming.
I guess so. Yeah.
In 1999. Maybe. That never came to fruition.
I don't think so. Not that I remember. I think. I mean, the games after that have completely different characters. So Yeah, I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah. We'll have to look more into Drabo. Drabo?
Yeah, Drajo and Drabo, which I also saw. I don't speak Japanese, but I guess Joe and Bo are identifiers for a young woman and a young man. So Drabo is the young male version of Dracula, I guess.
I do like that it's like the genre differences between the games, for one, is fun. Like, I just like whatever led them to be like, yeah, Bubble Bobble is like this arcade co-op platformer. Now let's make like a match 3 puzzle game out of it. Like, that's fun. But then just like the lore of the series in general is, a lot of, I don't know if you remember much about it, McKenna. What do you remember from the lore?
They've got girlfriends. They're like trying to save their girlfriends.
Yes. And they are humans, actually, that were turned into the little dinosaurs. And then this is what I learned. I did not know this beforehand, but that there is a whole series of games where you play as their human counterparts, like the human versions of them.
I feel like I've seen the art for that, but I've never played the games before.
I believe they're called Rainbow Island, and in them, it's a platformer. And we got to try this out, because this is again up your alley, McKenna. But instead of shooting out bubbles, you run around as a little guy and you shoot out rainbows, and like they arc like the classic cartoon drawing of a rainbow would, and you can like make platforms with them. So I just love that, like, the whatever, like they've kind of done like at least three different things with this that are like totally different iterations, and then even within their own series, like they've kind of done, obviously, like there's a lot of similarities amongst some of the games, but they've also done like a lot of goofy stuff with it. So really appreciate Taito for going for it with those. In fact, I think this is our first Taito game that we've talked about on N64. So, but there will be more. There will be more beyond Puzzle Bobble. I do want to talk a little bit more about the background art and just the general vibe of the game. That was a good one with the coffins. Do you have any other favorite backgrounds? And how would you describe them? I guess they're like, they look like they really make me think of like the like Tetris CDI, like just like real life photographs that have been like, like really like pixelized, to like
it's a lot of like
these consoles,
digitized photos.
That
feel sort of out of place. But I guess as you're moving through the versus mode, you're kind of going across a map, and I think those are supposed to sort of relate to where you are on the map. So the ones I remember the most are like, the coffins, but there's like a jungle one with toucans in the background. There's another one that's like a Aztec sort of themed village. I was just, because I pulled up Bust a Move again on the arcade cabinet, I saw one that is just a man's face. I don't know if that one's
I don't think we saw that.
But that one's just got a man's face in the background, which is interesting. I feel like this game in particular is definitely, in that regard, is like an outlier from all the other games. Like the art in this one is just, they just decided to go this crazy direction with all this digitized art, and even like the 3D bub at the beginning of the game.
Yes.
That's totally just feels like out of left field. It's such an odd one. Yeah,
it felt more like they felt kind of like inserted in there, like they shouldn't be. Whereas like the other games feel like they have more of a cohesive sort of vibe to it. But in a way, there was like a special charm to that it would just be like, here's something that might be like a desktop wallpaper on like Windows 95 or whatever, Maybe that's even it might even be a little nicer there. But do you have a favorite backdrop that you can recall?
The one that sticks out in my mind the most is the beach one.
Yeah,
with
that's
the palm
nice.
trees.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if that one's like, it's got a lot of different colors in the background, and different things. The water over on the right, and the sand, and the palm trees.
Mm-hmm.
Just kind of chill nature vibe.
I like that one because I feel like you usually see it when the screen is in like widescreen. because they switch for the puzzle mode to be like narrow or wide. And I feel like you see that beach one like a really nice wide aspect ratio.
Ooh, when you get a widescreen puzzle, that always felt good. I was like,
they're
wow.
so satisfying. Yeah.
Look at all the, I just like, it does appeal to like, yeah, like a very basic instinct where it's like, just like, look at all the colors, you know, and all the bubbles have their own little design. I remember like that really did like stick in my memory of seeing it just a couple times at my friend's house. And I remember, and I don't remember if it's this specific game, but like in a lot of them, they share some of these similar vibe qualities, but it might've been this one. It fits for the time. But I remember looking at it and feeling like there's a lot of games from this time where like, it felt like very, at the time to me, it felt like futuristic or something. You know what I mean? Like, where did this, like, I just hadn't seen like a lot of games like that. I was like, where did this come from? Like, what is this vibe? This is like cutting edge or something. And now when I played, I'm like, this is very like, there's some games where I play them and I still sort of feel that and like remember why. And for me, when I play this now, I'm like, this feels a little bit more like quaint and like,
sure. Yeah.
Like now seeing those it might be the backdrops or something, but even like the audio is a little like, I like the music and everything, but it's not like other games from the time where it's like I associate it more with like drum and bass music or like techno or something. And this is like cute little like jingles that you might associate more with like a Bubble Bobble. So I don't know what it was that like I felt like, or like, I don't know, like the other game I saw that same friend's house was like Tekken. And I remember seeing that and being like, whoa, you know, like I associated those in my mind. And I don't know. Yeah, there's something it's still like charming and I love the vibe, but I don't see it that same way. It's like going back to your like elementary school and being like, oh, this is like way different than I remember, you know?
I think I get that same feeling when I see Bust a Move on the Neo Geo. Like on the MVS, if you see it on like the big red cab in an arcade, I get that same feeling because that Neo Geo MVS art kind of goes across all of the games where they have this very crisp, colorful art style. And this one is just so different from that. Like I don't have that same nostalgic feeling when I see this one because of the weird digitized art and all of that on top of it. It just feels like almost a copy of itself made by the same people. Like it doesn't, it feels strange. Yeah, like a B team made it or something.
Yes, I might just really be, because we did play those a little bit, but we played so many. We played the Game Boy ones where they had, 4 colors to work with, or 4 shades. So like it's kind of jumbled a lot of it in my mind, but I think since I spent the most time with this one, I'm probably like projecting it onto the other ones a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I love the vibe. I love those photos. Like, this might now be for me stuck as like, this is the version I want to see because I want to look at the fun digitized photos. So you haven't had any other thoughts that you wanted to get across?
Yeah, I think just like with, like I said earlier, with just having little characters there, I think they really bring the vibes to the game.
Yeah, how come in the first one they had 2 of them operating the machine, and in this one it's just one guy? It doesn't make sense to me. Like it looks like you need the 2.
You only get to see Bob if you're playing the versus mode as well against another player. It's only Bub through this game.
This is Bob Erasure for sure. Like,
yeah,
it makes sense to me that you need one person to. Actually, I don't know. I was thinking one person turns the crank to aim and one person shoots, but I don't. By the second one, they figured out how to automate that, I guess.
Yeah.
The contraption doesn't need to make sense, I know, but is that just it? They wanted him to be playable, so they're like, let's take him off the stand. Nah, it's no good. It's no good.
It is a very like eclectic cast of characters, though. It's interesting to see all the weird different characters you come across when you're playing the versus computer mode. Like the very first character you come into is a purple blob. I don't know what he's supposed to be, but he's just kind of a purple blob.
That one I remembered that's one of the enemies in Bubble Bobble.
Oh, okay.
I forgot what they're called, and I don't know if all of these are. I don't think they are, but that's one thing I did notice, especially playing other games. We played a handful of Bubble Bobble game and a handful of Puzzle Bobble games, and they would like incorporate elements from the Bubble Bobble series into some of the Puzzle Bobble games, whether it's like something that might be out in the field of play or like a character you play as. And I did really think that was cool that they would incorporate that stuff. But the other characters, they felt more distinct than Purple Blob Enemy. Like that's like video game character or enemy 101 is like get the slime.
I kept saying that guy looks like a Pokemon. It looks like Goomy.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I did kind of make the connection between Bubble Bobble and Puzzle Bobble in the bubbles, because they do have creatures inside of them that pop out when you burst the bubble.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that connection there.
There was like some that would just be like they'd be there were some like where they'd surround, like they wouldn't even be in a bubble. They'd just be like some weird little guys on there. I'm pretty sure they were some of those type of creatures too, some of those type of critters. One other thought I had with just something that I think this one maybe sets it apart a little bit is just it's very minor, but like the N64 controller does make it a little bit different, because the analog stick moves the aiming device like way more significantly than the D-pad. And then not only that, but then you have the L and R or Z and R that allow you to do like make the more like minor adjustments. And I mean, I'm guessing when this first released for PlayStation, they didn't have the analog, but maybe when they released that controller, it worked that way. I don't know, but I thought that was kind of nice, because at first I was playing with the analog stick, but I found that like I didn't need that drastic of movement, and it felt more comfortable on the D-pad. And then once I switched to that, I was like, ooh, this is like really good. Were you more Good News, more of a D-pad or analog player? Does it really matter?
I think I just always defaulted to whatever has some sort of arrow keys. So a D-pad, or because I was used to playing it on a keyboard for the most part until I finally played it on a console. And then I kind of just, I think I just gravitated right towards a D-pad. And even playing it on the Mister, which is what I played it on, is like, I just went straight to the D-pad. I didn't even think about the stick, to be honest. I was just all on the D-pad. So yeah, interesting. I didn't even think about being able to move it in different speeds or anything like that. I think that might have actually helped me in some cases.
Yeah. Not overthinking it. Yeah. I don't know if it's intentionally that way, or if it's just that's just what happens when you use that instead of that. And that's just how it reads it. Like, I don't know if they meant for it that way, but that's at least how I felt. Like, I don't know. Am I imagining this?
No, okay, I think that's accurate.
Okay. I just want to make sure, like, because that felt that way, and it like changed the game for me once I just always default on the N64 unless it's like a game I've played a bunch with the D-pad to the analog stick, because I played more games like that. But it was nice. And I kind of like that. Speaking of just the general aim, sometimes it's a little hard to tell like where it's going to land. And you eventually, I did feel like I got better at that over time, but I like that sort of that, like when you would fail a level,
the guide,
you get the little guide. Yeah. That was
definitely helpful for figuring out, especially like getting stuff to bounce off the walls, where things were going to go exactly.
Yeah, it was nice, because then it would sort of like, you'd be like, okay, I kind of understand how this works a little bit better. And the next level, maybe I'll because there'd still have a good like push and pull to it, where you're like, well, I still have to like keep going with my credits and make it to the end. So and at the end, like there were on the puzzle mode, there are different routes. I couldn't tell. I didn't like do a bunch of them, but I couldn't tell if like there were different endings or anything like that. The last one I did, I wound up on like the question mark block,
right, yeah.
And I beat it, and it had Bub, right, is who you play as. They had him with like a crown, and it said, "You are now king." and then game over.
Great. Love that.
I don't know if there's any other options, but
yeah, I don't remember. Honestly, I don't know how many times I've actually beaten the game. I think I sit down, I get my fill, and then I'm out. But I don't know how often I'm actually like getting to the end of it.
There's a lot to it. Like each little stage as you move has like 5 levels in it. So like they take a while.
It's a ton of content. It just keeps branching out too.
Especially when you switch into there was I didn't really try it until today, but the time attack mode where they just like are feeding you levels like endlessly, and it's just about getting the high score. And I was playing it. I'm like, wait, I was like, I'll play it till the game stops me, and it didn't. And I was like, eventually I was like, I just have to stop myself or I'll keep playing this forever. Very addictive. I guess speaking of, we did talk about a little bit of like, maybe how's the game feeling? Is it feeling up to date or whatever? So at the time it released on N64, it was actually a little out of date because I think it originally came out in arcades and I think it was it 96 something like that. It dropped on the other
2 years behind from what I read.
Yeah, the other consoles got it in 97. So this one was early to mid 98. So by this time, I think it was close to the release of the third game, like in arcades. Mm-hmm. And one detail that I read that I thought was funny was because it was a bit dated, they sold the game at a discount price of $50. Which, okay, there we go. It's a games price discourse come up again. We can use this. I can't really speak to if that is $50 well spent in 1998. But the game is really fun to play now. So whatever. But yeah, I don't know. Why not? In fact, most of the reviews I read of the game were still like fairly strong, even on like the old busted N64 version. That's old news at this point. It got fairly good reviews, but mostly like 80% or whatever B's. But the lowest I could find, I found EGM and surprisingly Nintendo Power gave it it was like 65 or something. They gave it, and they did just talk about how the music's a little crunchy. This game's a little bit old. Even though the previous year EGM had it, actually, I think it won the other versions won their puzzle game of the year. A year later, they're like, no,
this isn't it anymore.
It's not it. But we get we've talked about that a little bit. We had a run of hockey games, the Wayne Gretzky games, where they did 3 in like a year and a half period that were basically the same. And so it's one of those things where it's like, I get it, for the time period. Now it like the factors are way different. So you have to kind of put your head in the mindset of the time. Like, okay, this game has been out for a while. Is it really worth $50? I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever. It doesn't. That's for people in 1998 to worry about it. I guess I wanted to ask me kind of how does it scratch the I don't know if your puzzle games are totally your thing, but how does it scratch the itch? Now we've only got your only options on N64 right now are Tetrasphere and Bust a Move Arcade Edition. How do you think it compares?
It's kind of hard to. I've played so many. I've seen so many things that are like this, like the Match 3, whereas I've never really played anything else like Tetrasphere.
There's nothing like not even Weltris.
Yeah, it's just in like a totally different world of its own. And they have very different vibes. You got like this like techno futuristic vibe with Tetrasphere. That I feel like when I play that, I just like zone out to that. Like I'm just in that. And here I think maybe it's more of a laid back, unless I'm playing Versus.
Yeah, you likely won't revisit that. I'm knowing you.
The Versus,
yeah,
probably. I'll play more, but definitely play the puzzle mode.
And we've actually got a million versions of this now on our
We do.
Switch too. So there's plenty of opportunity to revisit it. I don't know. Good news. I don't know if you have much familiarity with Tetrisphere, but
I think I just beat it 6 months ago or something.
Oh,
yeah, I just played through it 6 months ago, so fairly fresh in my mind.
So I mean, they're two different games, and like they're released well enough apart. But I think, you know, like as you were talking about, you know, your history with the series, I could see, like, you know, if once you get this game on your console of choice, like, do you even need other games? You know, you could just play this one endlessly.
Yeah, it's definitely a desert island game for me, for sure. I feel like, you know, if I'm stranded, great, I can follow every single branching path in the puzzle mode in different ways, and there's just so much content in that game, and whether you finish it or not, like, you can just sit there, relax for a little bit, play it, you're done. It's very get in, get out, pretty easy going for sure compared to other puzzle games. It's on the more easygoing end.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to, like, I think I'll dig a bit more into just the series in general. We also got like it was like I think both the Genesis and Super Nintendo, the 16-bit versions of the game, and they have their own kind of distinct vibe as well. And it looked like that they had like sort of a unique sort of puzzle mode as well. I only dipped my toes in, but I kind of want to try that out, because that's like its own unique vibe. That's like, I think, more distinct than like any of these other games, because they didn't really. I feel like they like the between with Bust a Move 2. I feel like all these versions, like if you watch, I didn't play, but I watched like footage of the PlayStation and Saturn versions and this version, and they all kind of like seem like the same in their presentation and sound and graphics and everything. But there's something about those the SNES one, for example, that just felt, that feels like a little bit more distinct from the series, even if it's probably on a lower level, like graphically. It's just, you know, something about the SNES vibe that I love, you know?
Yeah, definitely. I think for me, that Neo Geo, the MVS one, is like the most dialed in. That's the one where they got it just right with the art, the audio, the gameplay, like everything across the board, to me, is the way that Puzzle Bobble should be. But the SNES one is the comfort game. That to me is still the one that maybe the vibe, maybe it's just nostalgia. Maybe it's like rose tinted glasses or something. And that's just the one I want to go back to, because that's the one I remember the most. But like, yeah, that one is like the at home cozy version of it that I'll play over and over again.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like just not to discount any of the games, but I feel like with this series, it's like, because the gameplay is, you know, there's obviously things you can talk about, differences in gameplay, but I feel like because it is very similar, I feel like for me, it would just come down to vibes, you know, of like the one I would like to spend the most time in. So I totally get that argument, even if it is nostalgia. It's like, well, whatever, you know, whatever feels, it's a game I feel like I play to have like, just like good, you know, the good brain chemicals.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
go with the best vibes for sure.
The only other thing that stood out to me, which we touched on very briefly, is, man, the audio in that game. I don't remember. Okay, number one, it is kind of crunchy because it's on, you know, an N64 cart compared to the other versions of it, which got a CD release and got a little more high fidelity audio. This one's pretty crunchy, and I actually plugged in. I have like an adapter for my AirPods, so I was directly plugged in with pretty nice audio going directly to my ears, and I picked up all the sounds. But the other thing that stood out to me with the audio is there's a lot of screeching in the game. I don't know if you guys have noticed that. But like as soon as the stage starts, there's like a loud screeching sound. And I don't know if that's Bub or what. And then some of the characters like that you fight against also have really crazy sounds. There's one that has like a very bassy tone that it says out loud. I don't know what it says, but it's got like a bassy tone when it sends trash your way. But yeah, a lot of that stood out to me as like, wow, this is actually an assault on my ears a little bit. Maybe just the way I'm taking it in, but it was it's kind of rough.
Yeah, even when you when you do a thing where you clear some bubbles and some get to drop off from below, like there's always like
yeah.
I could see that. I noticed the audio was crunchy, but most of the times I played this was either like handheld, or if I was playing on N64, it was coming out of our tiny, like our CRT TV. We have actually one of the speakers is broken, so it's just like the left front one. And I'd have it on while and other stuff's going on. So I wasn't like, I noticed that I was like, yeah, this is not the best audio of all the games that we've played, but it didn't stick out as like an assault or anything. But yeah, if I was like in ear, that would be too much. I found it charming in the way it sounded and everything, but I totally get that.
Yeah, the music is definitely interesting too. It's got a very circusy vibe to it, I'd say. It is. There's like a lot of jingles, but then there's some songs that stand out as just like, yeah, this is some odd sort of, I'll call it circus core music that they made for this.
Yeah, I love the tracks that are more like do 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 do. That sort of theme.
That one's great.
But I remember when we did like a stream where we just, like I said, played through a bunch of the games, and we have the starting soon. And I was like, oh yeah, just play some music from like the game. I remember, like I said, having these like cool vibes, and then, we're playing it and it's like, it is circus core. And I think it was our buddy Andrew came in the chat like while we had it up, and it's like, what the hell is this music playing? I was like, oh no, well, we got to commit to the bit now.
Yeah. I mean, that one song that you hummed a second ago, that one actually goes through multiple games. So I think that one is more of like a theme for Bust a Move.
Yeah, that is the killer track for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. It is through all the games for a good reason.
It's the mega earworm that I'm surprised I did not hear in this game at all is the Bubble Bobble theme. Do 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 do. Yeah, I thought that would be in here for sure, because that's a song that's like, once it's going in my brain, it's like it takes hold for a minute. Well, we'll play some more for sure.
Yeah, it's a good handheld.
Yeah.
Not N64.
Not really reflective of the time or anything, but we will continue to play it on our Switch a lot more, I'm sure too.
Bub and Bob are back, busting each other's bubbles and breaking brotherly bonds. Who will be the best, Bub or Bob? Bust a Move again.
Hey everyone, my name's Darren Hupke. I'm a writer, publisher, and podcaster. My podcast is called Pixels and Polygons. Each week, I sit down with a guest and ask one simple video game question. It's a random topic each week, and it leads to a fun conversation. You can find it on your favorite podcast platform every Friday, and you can read more about it at pixelsandpolygons.net.
That was Bust a Move 2 Arcade Edition. Like I said, our next game we got coming up is Forsaken 64, which that'll be fun to talk about. The various versions of Forsaken that there were, another interesting difference between the games. Good news. Thank you for coming back to the show. It was great to get you back on. Do you want to promote anything?
What do I got going on? I mean, you can follow me on Blue Sky, goodnews.computer, if you want to see CRTs. And I think the last time I was on the show, I said folks should come to me about publishing stuff, and now I have a game publishing label with 3 other friends. So midnighters.games to learn more about that. We got some stuff we're actually announcing at the beginning of next year, which is really exciting. So yeah, a lot is happening. Yeah.
This will be dropping, in January. So I think by then some of that stuff will be
probably out, end of January, early February.
Awesome. Well, go give them a follow. Congratulations. That's exciting.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been a wild ride. Only I think 3 months and we've gotten like 100 pitches for games. So
whoa,
it's been a lot to go through. I just cleared my inbox a couple weeks ago.
That's awesome. You can do that because right now, like, you know, there are just like a ton of people who have all this talent and ideas, and there needs to be more space for people to actually bring those ideas to fruition. So that's awesome. Okay, well, cool. Thanks to everyone for listening. Special shout out. We've got our Triforce tier patron Lee, our number one guy Lee. Thank you for supporting us. Thanks to everyone else for listening. You can find us at flashback64.com. Check out the other shows on the Soundstone Podcast Network. You can find that over at soundstone.network. McKenna, good job.
Good job, Goop.
I'll talk to you again soon.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for listening. Bye.
Bye.
Do you find yourself playing older games and wishing that there were new discussions about those games? Enter Tales from the Backlog. Hi, I'm Dave Jackson, and on each episode, I'm joined by a guest to break down those games that may be stuck in your ever-expanding backlog. Each episode looks at one game in depth, focusing on mechanics, story, music, and other aspects with no spoilers until a clearly marked spoiler wall in the middle. If you've played the game, go ahead and climb that spoiler wall and enjoy in-depth story discussions, and if not, jump out when we warn you and maybe go play that game for yourself. We have over 100 episodes in the feed, everything from Disco Elysium to Tunic to discussion episodes about how to get into horror games, and if games actually need to be fun, or if they have more to offer. I guarantee that there's something in there for everybody. Once again, that's Tales from the Backlog, available wherever your podcasts are found.